Let's go.
Look at the statistics. Median household income in America, 5 major cultural groups. East Indians replace white people. Household median income annual, $124,000 a year. What is the marriage rate in the East Indian community? 94%. Second, also replace white people, are Chinese Asians. Average annual household income, $109,000. What is the marriage rate in the Chinese Asian community? About 65%. Third are white people. Average household median income, $81,000 a year.
A third.
Marriage rate, 57%. Fourth are Hispanics. Average household income, $63,000 a year. Marriage rate, 67%. And we are at the bottom. Average household income, $52,000 a year. Marriage rate, 34%.
Wow.
Only 66% of men, black men, are married, and less than 70% of black women are married. 29% will never ever get married.
Wow. When I heard this, I was like, wow, bro. So I want to stick here. I think this is an important discussion to have. Let me give you my background, and maybe this will help with why I'm talking this way. And I'm not talking at you when I say this, but I also want people to understand that there is a different example out there, and there's a different way to live your life. So I had both my parents have always been in my life. They've been married for over 40 years. Okay. When I grew up, I watched my parents have friends that were black as well, and they were married. So growing up, I started to see black couples and couples that were married and had children. It wasn't until I went to school that I started figuring out, like, so not everybody grows up in a 2-parent household, right? And I understood that. And so definitely my black friends, I noticed that they were raised a lot by their single mom, right? Dad was either not around, or he was around, but he was maybe not that involved, right? So they had a single mom involved. And so it wasn't until I got older till I started understanding the dynamic that I had because of having a 2-parent household. I had parents that were married, right? My mom was not having boyfriends and people coming in and out the house. I had structure, and I understood the benefit of a 2-parent household, and I seen the things that they also had, right? And how they had good money, and how they worked together, and how they were able to have nice things as they were together. And I would see other black couples, they were struggling, right? Single moms struggling. What? Right? So where am I getting to with this story? Well, I feel like I have a diverse take on this because I have friends that are Indian. Not only do I have friends that are Indian, I do business with people that are Indian. I have Asian like friends back in the day, and associates, Hispanics, and Middle Eastern friends and all that. So I feel like I have a diverse take to this, and I can kind of pinpoint to what the issue could be. I think there's multiple issues that we have in the black community, but I think we can point to a couple things, right? Let's talk about the East Indians. When I think about some of the Indians friends that I had and associates that I have, one thing that I notice is how intentional they are.
Sensational.
They're very intentional about every little thing. This also ties into Asians as well. They're very intentional about even who their children date, right? They're very intentional what their children take up in school. These cultural groups love to go towards engineering, doctors, lawyers, right? They love to push their kids in those fields, right? And they're always intentional about it because they want the best for their child. Mom and dad are both advocating for children to do the same thing. When I dated a Chaldean girl before, I remember how she used to always talk about how, like, who they dated was like so important. Like, they didn't just date just to date, right? They don't date because it's Tuesday. Like, it's a big thing. So they take relationships seriously. And so I started to notice how these cultural groups were very, very intentional with everything that they did. When it came down to money, when it came to relationships, when it came to kids, when it came to the environment, everything, right? The issue that I see within the Black community is that we no longer have morals, we no longer have standards, we no longer have shame, we no longer have culture.
Sensational.
A lot of those groups, right? They're big on family, they're big on religion, right? And that's where they get their morals, their standards, their values. They fall back on that, right? And relationships are a big deal in their cultures, right? A lot of times their weddings are celebrated for like a week long. Like, it's a big deal to get married. In the Black community, it's not. I'm going to tell you the hard truth right now. When they talk about babies, they think about marriage, the cultural groups. When our Black girls talk about babies, they talk about baby daddies. Marriage is not even what they're talking about. So they're having multiple baby daddies, multiple children, multiple men. Where's our standard? Where's our morals? Where's our values? Where do we fall back on? They have it. They also have what's called shame in their cultures, which I think that Black folks had shame in their culture back in the day. My mom used to tell me about it. You know what I'm saying? If a young girl got pregnant, how they would shame her, because now the next girl doesn't want to be like her and get shamed for having a baby at a young age. What do we do now? I'm going to tie this back into the money in the marriage rate. We celebrate baby showers when she has 2 baby daddies.
Sensational.
Instead of saying, hold on, no baby shower, we're not going to celebrate this. I still buy you diapers and take care of your baby and everything, but we shouldn't be celebrating kids out of wedlock. Oh, y'all don't like that, right? It sounds too old school when I start saying kids out of wedlock. But it's the truth, right? The other cultures, not saying that they don't have kids out of wedlock, but when they think about children, they think about marriage. When that man is dating, he's thinking about wife. When that woman is dating him, she's thinking about how she can bring value to him, and whether she wants to be domestic or whatever it is, it's all centered around their culture, family, religion, and how they are trying to follow their culture, right? So I think that's rule number one, is I think that we've lost culture. We've lost it. We don't have it, right? We use the word for rap and everything that we got culture, but we don't have it. We've lost it. And again, when I think about a lot of my friends of different races, they don't date because it's Tuesday. They don't date just because it's Tuesday. They're intentional about the girl that they date, or the man that she wants to be with. They're intentional about that. Not only, I always say that women look at relationships from a business standpoint, and I think they do, right? That's a good thing. But even them, they're looking at everything. Their family, how they would fit. Everything is intentional with them. We don't have intention. We just, hey, I like Keisha from down the street. Yeah, Keisha down the street. Been messing with Keisha for 2 years. Oh, now I got a baby with Keisha. Keisha, that's just my baby mama. That's just my baby mama. You like, damn, what? So that's it? So that y'all never come together. So here's where I'm going to get to. Full screen. Full screen. The issue that I think that we have in the Black community on why our marriage rate is at 34%, I think that, number one, we need to get back to the basics. We need to get back to shaming. Shaming. Both men and women. Why y'all having kids outside of wedlock? You should marry before you carry. Get your spiritual foundation down. Because at the end of the day, those culture groups don't only have culture, they have religion to fall back on. The religion is their instructions on life. We need to get back to, whether it's your Bible, whether it's, whether you're Muslim, whatever it is, get back to your Bible to get your morals, your standards, and your values.
Sensational.
And you follow them. Because all religion, that's all that religion has is instructions, right? And it's instructions on how to be a decent person in life. And it talks about couples and marriages and all that stuff in there. Get back to basics and get a spiritual foundation around you. Right? The next thing is, stop having kids out of wedlock. It just causes so much confusion for you and the child. It's a difference when the child grows up when he has both his parents. He sees his parents go through arguments, disagreements, but they also know how to get back on the same page. Indirectly, what I learned was, oh, okay, this is what love is. So even though I don't agree with her, or my dad didn't agree with my mom, and they argued, and I was like, blah, blah. In the morning, they figured it out. They went to work, they came home, and they weren't arguing like cats and dogs. They figured it out. Indirectly, I started to understand what a relationship and what a marriage was. My example. Unfortunately, Bobby is growing up with a single mom, black mom. He doesn't know what that means. So now he has to go figure it out on his own. Not to mention that his dad wasn't in his life. A 34% marriage rate is ridiculous.
Sensational.
And we're only making $53,000 together? The East Indians are making $124,000 a year, and they're married at over 90%. That is straight intention. There is a reason why they are the way they are. We can't just say this is happenstance. And then the Asians, boom, they come down. They're still married over half of the percent. I don't care how you want to splice it. If you want to act like you're Dr. Umar Johnson and try to say that, all this stuff and try to make excuses, it doesn't make sense that we're married at that low percentage and we're not making that much money together. We need to be intentional. We need to have a little bit of shame in the game. Stop having so many baby mamas and baby daddies, and maybe we can get somewhere. I know you don't want to hear it. I know you don't like it. I know I sound like somebody's somebody's daddy, some old school daddy. But you know what? Old school still works, right? Like my mama say, right? Old school still works, and she's right. But we've totally got away from old school. We've totally gotten away from it. So we need to get back to this, right? Why were black families more together back in the day? Well, there's a lot of reasons why I think black families were together back in the day. We had to be, right? I mean, it was racism going on, right? A lot of things were going on. We had to be together. And then it seems like once we kind of got a little bit free, we stopped being together. All right. Once we got more, more laws and more legislation, we kind of said, oh, we do what we want to do. And that's fine. But I think we lost some values along the way. And again, this is my opinion, y'all. This is just my opinion. You can tell me right in the comments and the live whether you agree or you disagree. But we need shame back in the culture. We need to be intentional. I'm not going to date Keisha or just not date Keisha and then try to, do X, Y, and Z with Keisha and then she get pregnant. I'm like, well, she's just my baby mama. No, there was a mistake done there. We need to correct this. But like I say, culture, which is so funny to me because we throw around culture so much in the black community. We don't have culture. And the culture that we're creating is just popular BS. We need to develop culture, but unfortunately, we don't have it. So What a disappointing stat for the black community. This is why I love and I applaud the black couples that have stayed together and that have been together for a long time. I love seeing those couples.
Sensational.
They got kids, you know, they live in a nice area, they're intentional. Like I love seeing black folks that are intentional and that are married, because that should be our example. But unfortunately, they're not, and we rather talk about all these other people that are just horrible examples for our community in general. All right. That's enough of that.